Racing. I am Jay, and I am here with my buddy, my partner in crime. We're talking about Ref Brandon. How we doing, Ref?
I am absolutely fantastic.
Well, it's great to have you, Ref. We're into season 3. This will be shown on July 27th, which is our season 3 weekend for thefanboys.com. But we're going ahead and get started because we've been gone for 2 months, Ref. It's unreal. We took that big of a break, but I had to get some things going on, and just it was time to get some rest going. And what's your thoughts going into right now?
Well, first I'll say that when you look as good as me and awesome as me, you don't need no rest. You can sleep when you're dead. But I don't mind getting a break every now and then because my wife and I stay very, very, very busy. So I don't mind a good break every now and then. Everybody needs a little R&R on occasion. But since we've been gone, there's been a lot of great stuff in the NASCAR world and in the wrestling world.
And I can agree with that. And first off, we want to thank our sponsors, Arden's Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina. Of course, every year they've been a part of us, and we want to thank Donnie and Angie with Arden's Burger and Grill in Central South Carolina. Also, there'll be happening a new restaurant that will be in Westminster called Beef and Rib. That will be opening up pretty soon. So we want to wish Donnie and Angie congratulations on the new restaurant that'll be opening soon in Westminster, South Carolina. We also want to thank our new sponsor, The Point RV in Townville, South Carolina. The Point RV in Townville, South Carolina, that's at Lake Hartwell. Make sure you go by, see them. They have where you can rent cabins, you can rent trailers, you can rent lots to put your trailer on. They have a pool, pavilion, the boat dock, you name it, they have it. Great place to go vacation, or you can move there permanently. Make sure you give them a call today. Also, Upstate Physical Therapy in Anderson, South Carolina. Go by and see David and Jimmy. They will do you right. And we also want to thank Pepsi Cola. Well, Ref Brandon, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing lately on the wrestling scene.
Well, unfortunately, because of my actual real job, I've had to cut back some. I'm no longer doing it every weekend like I was for a long time, but I am trying to at least do one every other weekend, and sometimes I'll do one on Saturday and Sunday to make up for the week that I missed. But working every Saturday now, it's hard to do one every single Saturday because I just don't have time to travel when you work all day long. But I have still been going to SWA, which we got a show there again this week. And now I'm going to a promotion that runs once a month in Beaufort, Georgia, called Disruptor. Now, Disruptor used to run a long time ago in Cornelia, and then they moved to Dahlonega, but they decided that was just too far out. So now they're back in Beaufort, and Beaufort is right in the middle of Georgia, so it's not that far of a drive. And every time they run, they bring in big-name people. This past show, they brought in AJ Francis, who used to be top dollar in WWE, but they bring in Suicide, and they bring in Caleb Conley. They bring in Slim J, who used to be a part of the AEW Ring of Honor roster. And every time they run, they bring in big names. They've already announced that not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, the 20th, they're going to bring in Zicky Dice, who used to be a part of NWA. So they bring in indie guys, but they also bring in big-time name guys, and they run once a month in Beaufort. But it's a different Saturday. It might be the third Saturday one month, the fourth Saturday one month. So it's never the exact same weekend, but it is once a month, always in Beaufort at the Tannery Row Ale House, which is about 5 minutes from the Mall of Georgia.
Okay. Well, Ref, let's get into what we always do, which is NASCAR. Tell us a little bit about what happened this weekend, and then I'll go into the standings.
I enjoyed the race, but it's almost like the good Lord just does not want NASCAR to go to Chicago, because last year it rained and rained and rained and rained and rained. And then Saturday in the Xfinity race, it rained and rained and rained. And then Sunday, just about the time the race started, it rained. So they started the race on wet tires. And then they ran about 25, 26 laps and had to stop for a red flag because it was raining. And NASCAR finally had to say that they were going to stop the race at 8:20 Central Time since they were in Chicago, which would have been 9:20 Eastern Time. And when they stopped, I think they had about 15 laps to go. But since that's actually on a street and not an actual racetrack, they don't really have a lot of good lights. So it's too dangerous to try to run, when it's pitch black dark. So I understand them stopping the race because of the rain. But they've been there 2 years, and both years it has poured and rained cats and dogs. But Alex Bowman got the win, and now all Hendrick drivers have won a race this year. He's the 12th different winner so far this year. Now, we still have 7 races to go in the regular season. And, only 16 drivers make the playoffs. So if they keep this pace up, we might have more than 16 drivers win a race. If so, somebody that's won a race is going to get left out. But Alex Bowman won, followed by Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, Joey Hand, who drove this week for Roush Fenway Keselowski in the 60 car. He's a road course specialist. Michael McDowell finished 5th. And then we had Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Todd Gilliland, William Byron, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Blaney rounding out the top 10.
Well, and then we get into our standings, and like you said, it's getting very interesting. Kyle Larson is, of course, right now sitting in first place. Chase Elliott is sitting in second. Tyler Reddick is now in third. He's up a spot. Denny Hamlin dropped a spot down to fourth. Martin Truex Jr. is in fifth. William Byram is in sixth. Ryan Blaney is in seventh. Christopher Bell is in eighth. Ty Gibbs is now moved up to ninth, up a spot. Then down a spot is Brad Keselowski. Alex Bowman, the aforementioned, with his win, moves up to 11th. Ross Chastain is 12th. 13th is Chris Buescher. 14th, Joey Logano. 15th, Bubba Wallace. And in the last spot is Chase Briscoe in 16th. And that is your playoff contenders as of this weekend.
Now, we also got to know this since we've taken our time off. They announced that Michael Dowell was leaving Front Row Motorsports, and he's going to Spire. And they've also announced that Stuart Haas is shutting down. But apparently it's just Tony Stewart that wants out. Rumor is he's somehow or another went flat broke and can't afford it. But the co-owner, Gene Haas, is going to continue next year. And he's going to have, I want to say it's 3 cars in Xfinity and 1 car in Cup, but it may just be all Xfinity. But they've already announced that the guy you just mentioned, Chase Briscoe, is going to jump in the 19 car because Martin Truex Jr. is going to hang it up at the end of this season full time. So he's going over to Joe Gibbs, and another Stuart Haas driver, Josh Berry, is going to go in the 21 car for the Wood Brothers because they are letting go of Harrison Burton. So 2 of the 4 Stuart Haas guys already have a ride. I don't think Ryan Preece will get one. I think Ryan Preece is terrible. That's just my opinion. But if Gene Haas does stay with 1 car in the Cup Series, he may stick with Gragson. If not, you may just see Gragson go back down to Xfinity. I'm sure he can grab a ride with one of the smaller teams in the Cup Series. But, most drivers would rather be competitive than just be out there for some, underfunded small team and just running laps, finishing 35th. That can't be fun.
Well, plus, it's been proven that you really need 2 cars or more to be competitive in NASCAR. Very few teams can do it with just a single.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's our NASCAR report brought to you by TrueVictory.com. Make sure you use code TheFanboys when you go to TrueVictory.com and save 15% off of your purchase. All right, Ref, let's get into pro wrestling. WWE, a lot has happened. We've had Clash at the Castle, and now we go to WWE Money in the Bank. Um, I think this was a pretty good pay-per-view. We had WrestleMania since we've been gone. It's the first year we missed
we've
Mania.
Been gone since I think we've been gone since March, so we would have missed April, May, June, and then of course Saturday was Money in the Bank.
Yep, we actually been gone since April, but regardless, we missed a lot has happened. Vince McMahon no longer with the WWE, a whole new regime. Roman Reigns is no longer at WWE, at least in storyline. That is, we could be seeing him pretty soon. We've got a new bloodline. We've got all kinds of craziness happening. New stars coming in, old stars going out. Just a lot of changes in the WWE. What's your thoughts so far? We'll go into Money in the Bank in just a second, but what's your thoughts so far with WWE with Triple H in charge?
I personally think he has done an absolutely phenomenal job. And you're always going to have those critics that are going to point out every single thing that you do. But to me personally, Raw's gotten better, SmackDown's gotten better, and the PLEs have gotten better. So as long as your overall product's gotten better, and if you look, the TV ratings are up. So as long as the ratings are up, it really doesn't matter what a few fans say, because no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody that's going to criticize something you do because their favorite wrestler lost the match or whatever. That's going to happen. But just watching it, it's so much more entertaining. They no longer start storylines like Vince would always do and run them for 2 or 3 weeks and just for whatever reason, just all of a sudden stop and never talk about it again. It all makes sense now. And that's what wrestling is supposed to do. That's the way it's supposed to be. I love the direction they're going with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. I think it's going to be a very compelling TV. We just don't know when it's actually going to start, because we don't know when CM Punk is actually going to be cleared to wrestle. And if he is cleared to wrestle, is he going to come back and actually be able to perform more than 1 or 2 matches without getting hurt all over again? And I still love what they're doing with the bloodline. And, that family's one big family, so they could keep this storyline going for 20 years if they want to and still keep bringing in new people. But I think before long we're going to see Roman Reigns show back up. I have a feeling that SummerSlam it's going to be Roman versus Solo. And I have a feeling that Survivor Series is going to be Roman's bloodline versus Solo's bloodline. The only interesting thing is going to be, if that does happen and The Rock comes back, is The Rock going to be on Roman's side or is The Rock going to be on Solo's side?
I don't think he comes back right now. I think they're brewing The Rock for WrestleMania. I think he's doing a motion picture, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that The Rock right now, I think that you will see probably the Usos. I wouldn't doubt to see Sami Zayn join them, and who that other person would be, we're not sure at this moment. But me personally, I think the WWE's done pretty good. I definitely like it better now than when Vince was there. I think the Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio storyline's pretty good. Also, you know what, Ref? We actually we did Monday Night Raw, so we have done some stuff because we did the King of the Ring. If you're not mistaken, I almost forgot about that. We went to Raw and was able to see.
Yeah, we did. We just haven't done a show, but we did. We did go to Raw.
But me personally, I still when it comes to the TV so far, I think WWE has a slight edge over AEW. But when it comes to the pay-per-views, I think that AEW has a slight edge over WWE. I think it's a
and we've talked about it before. I think if AEW could make their TV half as good as their pay-per-views, their TV numbers would be excellent. But I just can't figure out how come Tony Khan can book a pay-per-view so good and book TV so trashy. You don't give people any reason to watch your TV product because it's terrible. But how can one guy book pay-per-views so good and book TV so bad? I don't understand it.
Well, there's a lot of rumors going around. I'm sure you've seen this. I've got a friend that is close to the situation that there could be a possibility that Shane McMahon could be joining AEW. And now this is what I'm hearing. It would be as the producer / writer for Ring of Honor. They would break off Ring of Honor. How they would do that, I'm not exactly sure which way they would go. I've been told Rampage would go to 2 hours onto a app, kind of like WWE's going to Netflix. AEW Rampage would go onto an app, and they would have a 2-hour show weekly, and Shane would run that. I've also heard that he would possibly be running Collision, whereas Tony would do a Dynamite, and they would collaborate on pay-per-views. There's a lot of different things that are in that are floating around, but there's a lot more smoke to this fire now that Shane could be coming to AEW. I think it'd be a great move having Shane, of course, not Vince, but Shane. I think if Tony is willing to give Shane some muscle and let Shane do what he should have done with WCW back when WWE bought that, and even Vince admitted that he screwed up and should have let Shane do more with the WCW, but he was just too busy with an ego trip wanting to crush it. I think that would be a good idea, which we're not going to talk too much about AEW because we want to get into Money into the Bank.
One thing I will say was a couple of weeks ago, I'm sure you saw the comment and everybody else talked about it, but, Triple H pretty much come out and said that when Raw goes to Netflix next year, it's going to be uncensored. So, of course, everybody's like, oh, my gosh, we're going back to Attitude Era. And I really don't think we're going to see that because, Vince did it so Vince could have the bra and panty matches and the bikini matches and the mud wrestling matches. And I just don't think Triple H treats girls that way. So I just don't think you're going to see anything like that. I really, truly think the uncensored thing is only so on occasion when they cut promos, they can use language that you can't use on regular TV. But and Triple H is old school, so I just don't see them using a lot of blood. I just don't see it. I think the uncensored thing is only mainly for storylines, and that's it. But, of course, you say that, and everybody starts thinking Attitude Era, and I just don't think we're going back that way. I don't.
I think they could go back to an Attitude Era in a way, but like you said, I don't think it's because of the women's side. I just think they're gonna go all out with they're gonna create their shows like their pay-per-views. I think where you could see things that you normally couldn't see on live television on like Peacock or USA. I think it's just going to be, you're going to have some craziness where they can have the blood, they can cut themselves or whatever, but I don't think it'd be kind of like what they used to do.
Yeah, I don't either.
All right, well, let's get to Money in the Bank. Of course, I got it actually in the background behind me. And we start off the night with the men's Money in the Bank match. And there was some crazy shots in this match. Andrade looked like he had gotten destroyed in this match on 3 different occasions with some crazy bumps. Of course, the winner of the match, Drew McIntyre. I thought it was going to be Jey Uso. I thought it was going to be LA Knight. What say you?
Well, I didn't pick LA Knight because they ain't going to do anything. He's just there to get popular and make the fans cheer, but they're doing nothing with him. He's stuck in mid-card purgatory. That's what he is. But I predicted Chad Gable to win only because I thought it was going to come down to Chad and Drew. and I thought CM Punk would come out then to prevent Drew. And I thought when that happened, Chad Gable would win. So I picked Chad Gable to win, but Drew McIntyre.
John Cena makes an appearance and says this is his farewell tour, and that next year will be his last year at a competitor in the post press conference. But this will be John's last Royal Rumble, last Elimination Chamber, and last WrestleMania as a competitor.
All right, WrestleMania, because he said next year WrestleMania will be my last. But
Styles brings that out in a lot of superstars, that's for sure. After we go into we go in Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker was a great match. Lots of big hits. Breaker is Rick Steiner reincarnated. I mean,